What's going on, everyone? Golden Ticket to History, coming to you today to talk about the most difficult video that I have ever completed for my YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos I've completed. I've completed over 200 videos so far on my channel in less than 2 years. But there is one video that was the most challenging of all of them. And that was my 25th video that I posted, which was a video visiting the grave of Jessica Lunsford. The video was posted on August 19th of 2021, and it was the most challenging video that I had completed up to that time, and it still is arguably the most difficult video that I have done since then. There has been a couple of other videos that I have thought about completing, but have not been able to complete for a couple of different reasons. One of which was the Jessica Lunsford video was so difficult, and these other videos deal with the same topic and subject matter. And in some cases, the other ones were even more tragic and more difficult to be able to complete. Let's take us back to the day. So I filmed the video a couple weeks prior to August 19th. I think it was maybe 2.5, 3 weeks prior to the posting is when the video was filmed. And the day that I went out to the western sides of the state of Florida, and I went to multiple different locations. I actually went to 3 different parts of the state, and I actually completed multiple videos that day. I believe that I completed, I think maybe 5 or 6 videos in that one day. So it was definitely a very productive day. I started out really early. I think I left the house at around 5:30 in the morning and started making my 1.5-hour drive out towards the western side of the state of Florida. My very first stop was in Bushnell, Florida, which is where the Florida National Cemetery. It's a military cemetery, which is the final resting place of close to almost 200,000 veterans and their families here in the state of Florida. It's the largest in the state of Florida. It's massive, to say the least. I went there and completed 2 videos, 2 famous graves, 2 famous wrestlers, former professional wrestlers, their final graves. I was going to complete a few more videos there, but unfortunately, time was starting to get away from me, and I knew I had multiple other locations I was trying to go to. There was a famous Harlem Globetrotter who was buried there that I didn't get a chance to film. There was one of the victims of Eileen Wuornos, the famous female serial killer. One of her victims, I believe it was Richard Mallory, is buried in the Florida National Cemetery. I believe that was the first victim that she had in her killing spree. I did not have time to make it to his grave. I wasn't even thinking about his grave at the time. In hindsight, I was like, oh man, I should have conducted that video while I was there. But when you have a list of things you're trying to accomplish and you're trying to hit all the marks while also going to all of the other locations, it's very easy to start to lose track of what you're doing. So I did not have a chance to film those videos, but it's definitely something that I was looking into. I filmed those videos, then I left Florida National Cemetery and started my drive to the Homosassa, Crystal River area of Florida, which is kind of northwesty Florida. It's in between Ocala, just south of Ocala, just southwest of Ocala, essentially, if you're trying to think of relations to geographical regions. And we're heading to the Homosassa Springs Cemetery, which is the cemetery, the final resting place of Jessica Lunsford, who unfortunately was brutally murdered by a terrible, terrible person. And going out to the video was difficult. I knew I wanted to document this story. The best way I could keep her life going on would be to document her final resting place so that other people know who she was, not just those who live here in the state of Florida or who remember the events leading up to her untimely passing. So I did not want her life to disappear in the sense of being lost to the waysides of history. And that was kind of my rationale behind going out and conducting that video. On my way there, I decided to make a pit stop at a Dollar General. One of the things about when you go into the more rural parts of Florida, there's not really a lot of stores available. And there was a Dollar General that I passed. So I stopped and I found a little Minnie Mouse. It was made out of like silicone plastic type material, which is something I was hoping to, find something that would be able to stand the test of time. I really didn't want a stuffed animal because I didn't want it getting destroyed from the rain and mud and just getting dirty and being thrown away. I was hoping that maybe, this little mini would, be able to last the test of time, and that hopefully when people come to visit and pay their respects, they can see that other people have come and paid their respects. I really need to make a trip up to Crystal River, Homosassa Springs, to see if the mini is still there. But so I'm driving up there. I'm making my way, driving down the main highway. I make the turn down a small 2-lane road. I'm driving, and it keeps saying the cemetery is not far from up ahead from where I was at, and I see the opening gates. Then it really starts to hit me that this is real, that I'm going to, sooner than later, having to come to grips with, paying my respects to little Jessica. So I start driving to the cemetery, start driving around, start looking around, trying to figure out where the final resting place is. Even though it's a very high-profile case here in Florida, there wasn't a GPS coordinates and find a grave. There wasn't a lot to go off of. So I knew, thankfully, I guess, for the sake of, video purposes, the cemetery was not super large. And so I was able to kind of look around. I knew what the grave marker looked like, so I kind of knew it was a raised grave. There was definitely a lot of different things around it, so I definitely knew what the grave looked like. So that helped me a lot. I knew that it was near a fence, and there's only so many fences in cemeteries, especially the smaller one. So I knew that I was going to take and look for the fence. So I take it, I'm driving around, and I finally find the grave marker from the distance. Then things started to set in. Reality started to set in. And I got all my stuff together and thought, okay, well, how am I going to conduct this video? How am I going to pay tribute to little Jessica in a way that honors her, that helps people know who she was in her life, and to not allow for the tragedies that ultimately ended with her life ending to be the focal point of the video. And I definitely did not want her murderer to have any spotlight from my video. I did not want any of that to happen. There was no glory, there was no gratification, there was nothing that I wanted the sick individual who did these unspeakable acts to little Jessica and her dog to be glorified. That was the number one thing I knew I wanted to do. Another really important thing was I didn't want it to seem as if I was trying to benefit from her tragedies. And that was something that's really difficult. When you do the type of videos that I do, some deal with true crime, famous graves, we're normally dealing with untimely death. It's a very touching subject, it's a very controversial subject, it's a very tough subject to dive into. So you try to be respectful of the individuals that are involved in the topic. You try to be respectful of the nature, and you also want to try to be true to what your goal is. And my goal always was to honor little Jessica. My goal was never to make money off of it. My goal was never to become famous because of this video. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew who little Jessica was, and that her name and her story would not be lost. And that was the purpose behind the video. And so I go and I speak from the heart. Nothing was scripted, nothing was planned. Everything was just what I was feeling at that time. And to some degree, you can kind of tell, from the video that I'm borderline holding back, my emotions, because to think that this little girl with so much life left to live, so much promise, so much was in store for what her life could have been, and it was ripped away from her by a monster. And it's something that, still to this day eats at me. And it was so difficult to finish the video. It was so difficult to edit the video. And it was even more difficult to hit publish. Because I knew that once you publish something, it's out there forever. And it's left up now to the scrutiny of everyone who views it. And I knew some people may not have fully understood the intent that I had for the video. The intent wasn't to become famous because of her tragedy and her family's tragedy. And I hope that her family, if they ever saw the video or have heard that, the video has been made, that it doesn't open up more wounds from that time period. I hope that they see that the goal of the video was to honor little Jessica and to make sure that her legacy lives on. And it still gets at me, when I look and I see the video. On one hand, I'm so appreciative the fact that it gained a lot of traction very quickly. It was slowly starting a little bit of views, and before I knew it, I had 1,000 views, then 5,000, then 10,000, 15,000, and now it's been sitting just under 20,000. And I'm wondering if it's going to go through another resurgence or not before everything's all said and done. The video's been up for over a year, and I'm just happy that people were able to hear her story. That John Cooey did not get the upper hand, did not get the last laugh, and did not allow for his story to overshadow hers. And that's something that I hope that through those 19,000 views, that people had seen this video and would be able to, to raise awareness, to make sure that something like what happened to little Jessica never happens again. And there's a reason why there's a couple of videos in Central Florida that I have not been able to do. One of which is the Casey Anthony trial, which is when it deals with the same subject matter. And little Kaylee's was about 6 years younger than Jessica. Even though, they both were young, the age group the story just rips me apart. And on top of the fact is, it took everything I had just to get through the Jessica Lunsford video. That I don't think that I have the ability to handle going through the Casey Anthony video, to going to those locations, to stand where Kaylee's remains were found. I don't think I personally can do it. Which is why when it came to doing Jessica Lunsford, I went to her final resting place, but I did not go to the location of where the trailer was. I did not go to the location of where she was found. I did not go to any of those locations because it just would not have been possible. And also that would have taken away from the video, taken away from the video significantly. It would have made the story about Huey. It would have made the story about the monster who did these unspeakable acts to her, not honoring Jessica. So I just want to give a little touch back to that video. It's a video that hasn't, many of my viewers may or may not have seen it. It definitely is the most successful video that I've uploaded. It has almost 20,000 views. The next video after that is a really quick video that I did on Rocky Marciano, which is almost 9,000, followed by some short videos that I've done from different football games and other things. And then I have some true crime videos that are teetering around the 1 in 2,000 range. But, just so everyone knows, the video was never done to get fame off of her tragedies. And for those who are new to the channel, have never seen the video, if you come across the video, just know that's the intentions of the video, was to honor little Jessica. This video definitely was a lot longer than I anticipated, but I wanted to be able to make sure that, for those who are new to the channel, will definitely check out the video and be able to honor little Jessica. And I'm going to, I believe that I believe I uploaded a link in the bottom. I'm going to double check to see there might be a foundation or some different sources for those who would like to donate to various different organizations to help with causes such as the one with Jessica, that you have the opportunity to do so. And I'm going to upload those into the description box of the Jessica Lunsford grave video, as well as this video eventually. As always, continue to look for the history in film. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, which is something that I never anticipated ever happening. We've exceeded 100,000 views, which is something I never thought would ever was going to happen. I thank you guys so much for the support. Continue to look for the history in film, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day, everyone.